The masked one waits at the edge of the field. Halfway dark horror. Box. Original Nightshift horror story. Some stories don't begin in basements or abandoned houses. They don't even need haunted hospitals or empty highways. Sometimes they start in places so ordinary, so plain, that you never expect anything to go wrong. For me, it started in the field behind my job. I worked night security at a distribution center. Endless hallways, forklifts like skeletons asleep in the dark, pipes rattling overhead. But out back, past the loading docks, was the field. It wasn't remarkable. Just a flat, overgrown patch of weeds behind the fence. Except nobody ever went there. The floodlights didn't quite reach it, and the ground dipped just enough that you couldn't see the far edge. Even under a full moon, it seemed darker than it should have been. And there was one rule that every guard whispered to me sooner or later. Don't look too long at the field. I thought it was a joke, until one night when I saw something standing there. At first, I thought it was a deer, tall, still, watching. But when I focused, I realized it wasn't an animal at all. It was a man. He stood perfectly still among the weeds, wearing a plain white mask. The smile was too wide, the eyes too empty. He lingered just beyond the fence line, exactly where the light gave out, like he had grown from the field itself. He never moved, but each time I blinked, he seemed closer. The next night, the fence at the back was bent, like something tall had climbed over, and there was a smell in the air, sharp and sour, like rain soaking into rust and rot. I found an old VHS tape in the office, unmarked, left on a shelf. Curiosity got me, and I watched. It showed the land years before the building went up, just dirt and tall grass swaying in the wind. Static cut in, then the picture returned, and there he was, the same masked figure, standing out there, closer to the camera than he should have been. That's when the knocking started. Slow, deliberate raps at the back door during my shift. My hand always moved toward the handle, even when I didn't want it to, as though something was guiding me. The first time I forced myself to look through the glass, my stomach turned to ice. He wasn't standing outside. He was inside the reflection, his mask pressed against the other side of the glass, smiling out at me from a place he shouldn't have existed. When I tried to bring it up to my supervisor, he cut me off with a pale face and shaking hands. Don't talk about him. Don't say the word field. Do your shift, and if you see him, don't acknowledge it. That's when I realized the field wasn't just land. It was a mouth, and the masked one was its tongue. One night, around 3 a.m, I broke the rule. I walked outside, past the dock, right up to the fence. The air was thick, heavy, and wrong. My flashlight shook in my hand as I aimed it toward the weeds. And there he was, not at the edge anymore, inside the fence, standing among the weeds as if the earth had opened the gate for him. His mask gleamed under my light. The painted smile bent wider, too wide, and then I heard it. Not with my ears, but inside my skull. You look too long. The ground shifted. The weeds rippled like water. The field bent, opening like a throat about to swallow me whole. He stepped closer. The whisper rose not from him, but from the earth itself. One more. One more. One more. I dropped the flashlight and ran. Didn't stop until I was back inside, heart splitting my ribs. The footage the next morning showed me walking out to the fence, lifting the flashlight, staring, but the cameras captured nothing else. No figure, no mask, just me. Except in the last frozen frame, just before the feed cut out, there was something behind me. A face half hidden in the weeds, white, smiling. Last night, it followed me home. I woke to tapping on the glass. My heart already knew what I'd see before I turned my head. But it wasn't my street outside my bedroom window. It wasn't my yard. It was the field, And standing at the edge, closer than ever, was the masked one. His head tilted, a painted smile stretching too wide for any human face. He's waiting. And the longer you listen to me tell the story, the closer he gets to you. That was the masked one waits at the edge of the field, a Nightshift horror. An urban legend brought to life, a horror box story designed to crawl under your skin. If the dread followed you, hit subscribe to Halfway Dark. Like the video, if you'll never look at a dark field the same way again. And ring the bell, because the masked one never stays at the edge. The Smiling Mask in the Break Room. Halfway Dark Horror Box Original. You don't expect horror in a break room. A bad coffee machine, yes. A microwave that smells like burnt soup, sure. But horror? That belongs in basements, woods, or empty houses. Not under buzzing fluorescent lights where people eat their lunches. But the break room on my night shift wasn't like any other. And if you're listening, don't forget subscribe to Halfway Dark. This is where we bring you the darkest Reddit horror stories, night shift encounters, and cult-level urban legends that crawl into your bones. Join us if you dare. Now let me tell you about the mask. I was halfway through my shift when I went in for coffee. The break room was empty chairs tucked in, vending machine humming, clock ticking louder than it should have. But the smell was wrong. Not coffee, not food. Something sour, metallic, damp. I ignored it, poured my cup, stirred in sugar. I sat down at the table, scrolling through my phone. Then I noticed it. A mask, sitting on the counter. Plain white porcelain. Wide painted smile. 2 empty black eye holes staring at me. At first, I thought it was some kind of prank, the day shift crew messing with me. But when I picked it up, a folded piece of paper fell from inside. It said only one thing: don't turn around. I froze. The humming of the vending machine seemed louder. The lights flickered, and I realized I could see a faint shadow on the wall across from me. A shadow that wasn't mine. And I turned anyway, and there he was, standing in the corner of the break room. Tall, motionless, wearing the mask. Not just the one from the counter. Another, the same, the smile painted too wide. The eyes black voids that seemed deeper than plastic should allow. I blinked, and he was gone. The mask on the counter lay where I'd left it, but now the smile looked sharper. I swear it hadn't been that sharp before. I ran to the security office, rewound the feed. The break room camera showed me walking in, sitting, pouring coffee. But there was no mask on the counter. And when I turned to look at him on the footage, I turned to an empty wall. But then static. The screen filled with snow. And when the image cleared, the masked one was sitting at the table across from me, perfectly still, hands folded, watching me. Then cut. The footage ended there. Or I didn't go back to the break room for a week, but eventually I had to. And when I opened the door, I saw it wasn't the break room anymore. It was the oak door, the same one from the hallway, the impossible one. The whispers filled the room. The chant, open, open. And then I heard the scrape of a chair behind me. I turned, and the masked one was sitting at the break room table again. The mask tilted slightly, like he was curious, waiting. I bolted. The hallway stretched too long, warped, pulsing with shadows. My shoes slapped against the floor, but each time I looked back, he was closer. Not running, not walking, just closer. That smile never changing. The whispers rising. You left the mask. You left the mask. I didn't remember leaving it, but when I glanced down, I was holding it. Clutching it so tightly, the porcelain cut my hand, and the blood made the smile red. I don't know how I escaped. I woke up at my desk, my hand bleeding, the mask gone. Coworkers said they never saw me leave the office. The cameras showed me sleeping at my post all night, but my coffee cup was still in the break room. and the mask-shaped dust ring was still on the counter. Last night, I woke at 3:15 in the morning on the dot, to the sound of something tapping on glass. I checked the window. He was there, the same mask, the same painted grin, but this time he wasn't outside. He was standing inside the window, on the wrong side of the glass, smiling out at me. That was the smiling mask in the break room, a story of Nightshift horror where reality bends, and masked figures wait where you least expect them. Would you put the mask on, or would you run? Comment below with what you'd do if you found it waiting in your workplace. Subscribe to Halfway Dark for Reddit horror, cursed urban legends, Nightshift encounters, and the most original cult-style stories on YouTube. Like this video if the break room will never feel safe again. Hit the bell because the masked one will return. The Man Who Collected Sounds Halfway Dark Horror Box Original. Nightshift horror story. Some nights, silence isn't empty. It listens. Before I start, if you want to hear more nightmares that crawl under your skin, subscribe to Halfway Dark. We cover Reddit horror stories, Nightshift terrors, and strange urban legends you won't find anywhere else. It started with the whispers. I worked the graveyard shift at a small public library. Most nights are quiet, just the hum of fluorescent lights and the occasional creak of old shelves. But one night, I thought I heard someone breathing behind me in the rare books section. Nothing unusual until I noticed the sound lingered. Not just behind me, but inside me. A tickle in my ears, a vibration in my skull, like a memory I didn't remember. I shook it off, but the next night, the library seemed to have grown. The aisles longer, the corners darker. And in the farthest stacks, I could swear I heard words, not spoken aloud, just carried on the air. Names, numbers, pleas, laughs, crying. Every sound I'd ever ignored seemed to be stitched into the walls. I started recording on my phone, played it back. At first, there was only static. Then the faintest snippets of conversation. Laughter from strangers I'd never met. Crying from children who didn't exist. A voice that sounded almost like mine, whispering my own name. And beneath it all, a rhythm. A pulsing beat, like footsteps pacing across invisible floors. I asked the janitor about it. He stared at me, pale, silent. "Don't let him hear you notice," he said finally. "Hear me notice?" He shook his head. "A man, he collects it. Every sound. Every footstep, cough, whisper, every heartbeat. If you make a noise here at night, he'll know." I laughed nervously. That night, I left the library door open slightly, just to see. And I heard it. A sound soft, precise. Not coming from the speakers. Not coming from any machine. Coming from the shelves themselves. A sliding of wood. A faint click, then silence. I followed it to the back of the library, past the stacks I didn't usually enter. There, behind a shelf labeled Local Folklore, was a small door I had never noticed before. Not a maintenance closet, not a utility panel, just a door. It was black, glossy, like lacquer, no handle, no keyhole. And when I pressed my ear to it, the sounds. I wish I hadn't. Every whisper I'd recorded, every cough, every footstep I'd ever heard in my life, even the ones in my nightmares, was flowing behind that door. A torrent of noise so precise, so personal, it made me dizzy. I could hear the exact moment I fell asleep last week. The shuffle of my shoes in the parking lot, the subtle rattle of the vending machine at 3:12 in the morning. And beneath it all, another layer. A slow, dragging sound. Something breathing. Something moving. Something listening. I didn't sleep for 3 nights. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Every sound in my apartment seemed distorted. My phone ringing too sharp. The hum of my fridge too low. Even my own heartbeats sounded recorded, repeated, warped. I tried telling someone. No one believed me. "Maybe you're stressed," they said. But I knew better. Something in the library was alive, and it had been there far longer than I realized. Then I saw him. Not directly, not yet, but his presence. In reflections, in the faint shimmer on the vinyl floor, in the warped glass of the display cases. A tall, thin shadow, always at the edge of my vision, barely there. And I noticed the sounds began to change. Every time I made a noise, it came back twisted. My own voice, slowed and warped. The beep of my phone, a few seconds delayed, distorted, almost angry. The library lights hummed a tone I had never heard before, and the whispers, they started calling me. Come, leave a sound, stay, give it to him. I couldn't stay away. One night, I carried a recorder back to the small black door. I pressed it against the surface, hoping to capture something tangible. The recorder played back everything. All the sounds in my life perfectly clear, layered on top of each other. And at the very bottom, a voice, low, gravelly, smiling somehow. Thank you for noticing. I ran, out the library door, into the night. My apartment felt hollow, like I had left a part of myself behind. But the sounds followed me. I could hear the scrape of wood, the soft breathing of something pacing just beyond my bedroom door. The whispers adapted to my walls, my floorboards, my ceiling, every surface, every corner. And I realized he didn't need a mask. He didn't need a face. He didn't even need a body. He existed wherever sound was. Now, every night, I hear him, collecting, waiting, listening. I can't escape. Even speaking seems dangerous. My own voice could be taken, added to his collection, warped and stored forever behind that black door I can't find. Sometimes, I swear, I hear a soft knock in my apartment. Not a person, not wind, not pipes, just the collection calling me. That was the man who collected Sounds, a story of night shift horror, strange urban legends, and something alive in silence. If you felt your skin crawl, hit subscribe to Halfway Dark. Like if every creak in your house sounds suspicious tonight, and ring the bell because he's listening. He collects, he waits, and he always hears you. The Nightshift Siren, Halfway Dark Horror Box Original, Nightshift Horror Story. Some nights you think the world is asleep, but out there in the quiet streets and abandoned warehouses, something is awake, something waiting. Before you keep listening, make sure you subscribe to Halfway Dark. We specialize in Reddit horror stories, Nightshift terror, cursed urban legends, and mysterious unexplained encounters. Hit subscribe so you won't miss the darkness. I work nights at a 24-hour warehouse on the edge of town. Most nights are uneventful, just forklifts humming, alarms blinking, and the occasional clatter of boxes. But one night, everything changed. I was making my rounds at 2:30 in the morning, the fluorescent lights flickering when I heard it. A voice, sweet, melodic, almost like singing. The sound was impossible. There shouldn't have been anyone there. I had checked every corner, every storage aisle. Nothing. But the voice didn't stop. It drifted toward me, soft and intoxicating, curling into my ears like smoke. I swear it whispered my name. Come closer, come closer. I don't know what compelled me to follow. Maybe curiosity, maybe fear, maybe some instinct older than reason. As I moved through the warehouse, the singing became clearer. The sound echoed off the metal shelves. It was beautiful and horrifying at the same time, and I could feel it. A pressure building in my chest, tightening my ribs. Then I saw it. Not a person, not human, something humanoid but impossible. Its skin shimmered with an oily reflection. Its mouth stretched unnaturally, lips too thin, too wide, singing in a voice that should not exist. Eyes like black mirrors. And yet, I couldn't look away. It was standing in the middle of the warehouse, perfectly still, framed by the flickering fluorescent light. I should have run, But I didn't. I called my manager later, trying to convince myself it was a prank, someone messing with me. But he didn't answer, and my phone, it didn't ring either. Not inside the warehouse, not outside. It was like the sound itself had been stolen. The voice returned, drifting closer again, soft, seductive, almost loving. I felt my knees weaken, just a little closer. I found myself in the old loading bay, empty for years, a place no one used. The air shimmered like heat waves, and the voice pressed against my skull. And then I realized it wasn't singing, it was feeding, pulling energy from my fear, from my attention, from the sound of my own heartbeat. And if I didn't obey, it would. I don't know. It would take something. I left the warehouse that night, but the voice followed me home, on the street, through my apartment door. In the hum of my fridge, the drip of my faucet, the sweet, impossible singing echoing endlessly in my mind. Sleep became a nightmare. Every sound outside, every whisper, every hum became a lure, a reminder, a promise. I returned to the warehouse 3 nights later, drawn by the voice. It was worse this time. The lights pulsated like a heartbeat. The shelves warped and bent impossibly, and the figure waited, always waiting. It didn't move toward me. It didn't need to. Every glance, every thought, every sound I made pulled me in. And I finally understood. The night shift siren doesn't chase. It doesn't attack. It waits. It listens. And when you come near, willingly or not, it collects. That was the night shift siren, a story of night shift horror, cursed urban legends, and unexplained encounters that will haunt your nights. If the dread gripped you, subscribe to Halfway Dark for more stories that crawl under your skin. Like this video if you'll never walk through an empty warehouse the same way. Comment below. Would you follow the voice or run? Ring the bell because the siren listens and she always waits. The Girl in the Reflection. Halfway Dark Horror Box Original. Night Shift Horror Story. Some nights, the mirror doesn't just reflect. It waits. Before we dive in, subscribe to Halfway Dark. If you crave Reddit horror stories, night shift encounters, urban legends, and strange phenomena, this is where the darkness lives. Hit subscribe. You'll want to follow this story to the very edge. I work the night shift at a small boutique hotel downtown. Most nights, the world is silent, the streets empty, the hallways smelling faintly of polish and mildew. It's perfect for someone who likes quiet, until the quiet stops being ordinary. It started when I noticed her. In the lobby mirror, I saw a girl standing behind me. Pale, thin, hair hanging in damp strands, eyes too dark for her face. I turned, no one, just my reflection. The first few nights, I thought it was exhaustion. Long shifts, bright fluorescent lights, my imagination stretched too thin. But the girl didn't disappear. She began to move independently, tilting her head, smiling faintly, sometimes mouthing words I couldn't hear. One night, I made the mistake of speaking to her. "Who are you?" Her smile widened, not in a human way, in a way that seemed to stretch the glass itself. And she answered, not in sound, but in thought. "You'll see me soon." I froze. The next day, I tried to ignore her. I avoided mirrors, reflective surfaces, even shiny elevator panels. But the hotel is full of mirrors. Everywhere you look, everything reflects, and she was in all of them, waiting, watching. I told a coworker, "I think someone's messing with me," I said, but she went pale. "You're not the first," she whispered. This happens to every night shift person eventually. The girl, she waits until you notice. And once you do, she doesn't leave. That night, the reflection didn't stay in the lobby. It followed me, through the hallway, into the stairwell, even into the storage closets. No matter where I went, She was there standing, tilting, smiling faintly. I tried covering mirrors with sheets. Didn't help. She appeared in the reflection under the bed, in the shiny surface of the refrigerator in the break room. She was everywhere and nowhere. I started recording with my phone. When I played it back, the girl wasn't in the video. Not once. Nothing moved. Nothing unusual. But every night, she returned, untouched by technology, undetectable to the camera. Then came the whispers, faint at first. A soft voice in the hallway, almost human, almost a song. Stay, watch me. Sleep left me. Food lost all taste. Every reflection I saw in public restrooms, store windows, polished car doors, there she was, waiting, watching, smiling faintly. And then I saw something worse. One night, a guest complained about the lobby mirror, said her reflection wasn't matching her movements. I went to check, and there she was, standing on the other side of the mirror, moving differently than me, smiling at me. Not a shadow, not a trick of the light, something alive, thinking, aware. I stumbled back. She whispered again. Soon, it won't be just the mirror. From that night, the girl began appearing in other reflective surfaces. My phone screen, my coffee mug, even in the window of a car passing by. She smiled faintly, tilting her head. Always the same words in my mind. Soon, it won't be just the mirror. I tried leaving town, tried staying in motels, hotels, even friends' apartments. Didn't matter. Every reflective surface she invaded. Every gloss, every polished metal, every puddle of water. She followed, always patient, always waiting. I realized she didn't just exist in mirrors. She existed wherever light touched her reflection. She was tethered to observation itself, and noticing her, thinking about her, gave her power. The other night, I tried an experiment. I covered every mirror in my apartment with thick black cloths. I sat in darkness, refusing to look at any reflective surface. It didn't stop her. I felt her behind me, in the dark. Her breathing soft, sweet, calculated against my neck. I dared not turn, didn't dare open my eyes. And a whisper, close enough to feel on my skin. You can't hide. You can never hide. I am everywhere you see. I can't stay here anymore. I don't know how she moves between mirrors, phones, puddles, windows. But I do know one thing. She's patient, she's intelligent, and she's never done waiting. Sometimes when I blink, I swear I see her smile lingering on the edge of my vision. She's not in the room. She's not outside. She's everywhere, and soon she will be inside. That was the girl in the reflection, a story of Nightshift horror, cursed urban legends, and strange, immersive encounters. If your skin crawled, subscribe to Halfway Dark for more stories that invade your mind. Like if every mirror you see tonight feels alive, and ring the bell, because noticing her gives her power, and she always waits. The Smiling Mask at the Window, a Halfway Dark horror box original. I've been working the night shift at a small town diner for the past 2 years. It's the kind of place that never really sleeps truckers, drifters, the occasional drunk staggering in after midnight. The fluorescent lights hum above me. The coffee pot never empties, and the smell of grease clings to everything. People think the night shift is boring, but it's not. Not if you're paying attention. And if you like true night shift horror stories, the kind you'll never forget, don't forget to subscribe to Halfway Dark. You'll want to keep the lights on after this one. It started about 3 months ago. I was bussing tables around 3 in the morning when I felt it, the sense of being watched. You know how it is. The hair on your neck prickles, your stomach sinks, and suddenly you're sure someone's eyes are on you. I glanced at the window by booth 6, the one facing the empty parking lot. That's when I saw it. A face. But not a normal face. This one was hidden behind a smooth porcelain mask. blank, pale. 2 black eye holes stared straight through the glass. The figure was tall, too still, as though it had been waiting there for hours. I dropped the fork. The sound was too loud in the empty diner. My voice cracked when I said, "We're closed." The figure didn't move, didn't speak, just stood there, the mask reflecting the faint neon of the open sign. I blinked, and when I looked again, the window was empty. The next night, it was back. Same time, 3:13. Same window, booth 6. But this time, the mask was different. It was smiling. Not painted, not drawn. It looked as though the porcelain itself had been carved into a grin. Too wide, too sharp, stretching ear to ear. The rest of the body was lost in shadow, but I knew it was the same figure. The same black eye holes. The same silence. I didn't sleep when I got home. I told myself I imagined it. Lack of sleep, too much caffeine. But then it came back again. And again. Each night, the mask changed. Subtle at first. A tilt of the mouth, a faint crease on the forehead. Then bigger shifts, the grin turning into a grimace, the eyes narrowing, the surface cracking as though something inside was pressing out. I stopped telling my coworkers. They already thought I was weird for working nights so long. "You need a vacation," they said. "Get some sun." But they weren't the ones who had to mop floors, while the mask smiled at them from the dark. I started testing it. One night, I brought a flashlight and shined it directly at the glass. Nothing. A beam cut through empty air. But when I lowered the light there, it was again. The mask, watching. Another night, I stepped outside. The lot was deserted, silent except for the buzz of the lights. No footprints in the frost, no car in sight. Yet when I looked back through the diner window, from the outside, it was there, standing inside, staring out at me. I didn't go back in right away. By week 4, the mask began to move. Not much, just small things. A tilt of the head, a lift of the chin, a slow, deliberate press of the porcelain against the glass, as if it wanted to come inside. I prayed it never would. One night, it rapped on the window. 3 slow knocks. I froze with a pot of coffee in my hand, staring at that expressionless smile. The knock echoed in my head long after it stopped. And then, the next night, it wasn't outside. It was sitting in booth 6. I dropped the tray I was carrying. Silverware clattered against the tile, but I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The masked figure sat perfectly still in the booth, its head turned toward me. The mask had changed again, smile gone, replaced by a sorrowful frown, cracks spider webbing out from the eyes. I wanted to scream, but my throat locked. Instead, I stumbled backward until my back hit the counter. Then, without sound, the figure raised one hand and beckoned me. No words, just that small motion. I bolted out the door and didn't stop running until dawn. I thought about quitting. God, I wanted to quit. But the diner doesn't hire fast, and I needed the paycheck. I convinced myself it wasn't real, just some hallucination born of exhaustion. Until last night. Last night, the mask was different than ever before. It wasn't porcelain anymore. It was flesh. My flesh. I don't mean looked like me. I mean, it was me. My face, stretched and stapled into the same grotesque grin I'd been seeing for weeks. The masked figure sat in booth 6, wearing my own face, tilting it from side to side like a curious animal. Its eyes, my eyes, rolled in opposite directions, unfocused, broken. And then it spoke, not out loud, but inside my head. "Sit down." I ran again, but this time I don't think I escaped. Because when I got home, I found footprints outside my bedroom window. Booth 6, window 6, home 6. And tonight, as I write this, I hear it again. 3 slow knocks at the glass. If you made it this far, You've opened the horror box, and once you do, you can't close it. This was a true Nightshift horror story, written for the shadows. Creepy urban legends, masked figures, and terrifying late-night confessions. If you want more stories like this, subscribe to Halfway Dark now. We dive deep into Reddit horror stories, Nightshift confessions, and unsettling true scary stories every week. Like this if the mask unsettled you. Comment below. Would you have stayed to see what it wanted? Don't miss the next upload. We're just getting darker. The Door That Wasn't There, a Halfway Dark horror box original. I've heard people say that the Nightshift changes you. That working when the rest of the world sleeps makes the mind soft, pliable like wax, left too close to a flame. I didn't believe it. Not until the door appeared. And before I tell you what I saw behind it, let me ask, do you love true Nightshift horror stories? The kind no one else dares to tell? Then subscribe to Halfway Dark right now. Because once I finish this story, I don't know if I'll still be here to tell another. I work security at an office building that stays open 24/7. Nothing glamorous. I watch cameras, walk the halls, and keep the drunks from sneaking in to sleep on the couches in the lobby. The place is dull, beige walls, endless carpeting, the stale smell of recycled air. But on Tuesday night, around 2:45 in the morning, I turned a corner on the 5th floor and saw a door I had never seen before. It wasn't just that I didn't notice it before. I mean, it wasn't there. The wall was bare white every night I'd walked past it. But suddenly, there it was. A heavy wooden door, dark oak, iron handle. Old, like something pulled from a cathedral. There was no reason for it to be there. The office floor plan is symmetrical, sterile, modern. This thing looked centuries old. I stood there staring for a long time. My radio buzzed dispatch, asking if I'd finished my rounds. I lied, said yes, and walked away. But the image of that door burned in my head. The next night, I checked again. The door was still there, but different. The handle was lower, almost child height, and the wood no longer polished, but splintered, wet-looking, as if it had been soaking in the rain. I touched it, cold. The cameras didn't catch it. I rewound the feed 3 times, stared at the monitor. The hallway was bare. No door, just white wall. But when I walked the hall again, it was there, waiting for me. By the 3rd night, the door was breathing. I swear to God, I could see the wood expanding and contracting, like lungs. Faint drafts hissed out of the cracks. The smell of earth and mildew leaked through, thick enough to make me gag. I put my ear against it, and I heard whispers. Children's voices. Dozens of them, layered on top of one another. Giggles, songs, words I couldn't make out. My hand was already on the handle before I realized it. But when I tried to twist it, it wouldn't budge. Locked, for now. I started avoiding the 5th floor, but it didn't matter. The door began following me. First, I saw it on the 3rd floor, then the lobby. Each time, it was different. Taller, thinner, painted red one night, covered in claw marks the next. Always wet, always whispering. I asked the other guards about it. They looked at me like I was insane. "What door?" they said. I stopped asking. Last night, I found it in the bathroom. A door inside the bathroom stall. Small, child-sized, wedged right against the far wall. The whispers were louder, urgent. I crouched, pressing my face close. And I swear, I heard my own voice whisper back at me. Not just words pleading. "Open it, please. Open it now." I ran, didn't even clock out. Tonight, it's different. The door followed me home. I woke at 3:13 to find it at the foot of my bed, not in the wall, not in the floor, just standing there, upright, like someone had dropped it into the room. The wood was swollen, splitting. The handle glistened as though it had been licked. And the voices weren't whispering anymore. They were chanting, "Open, open, open." I don't know what's on the other side. But the thing is, I think I already opened it once, a long time ago. Because sometimes, when I catch my reflection in the mirror, I see something wrong. My eyes don't blink together. My smile lags behind. And when I turned the lights off just now, I could see the outline of children's hands pressing through the walls, reaching. The door isn't just following me. It's growing. It's not a door anymore. It's a mouth. And tonight, it wants to eat. You've just stepped into the horror box. What do you think is waiting behind that door? Would you open it, or would you run? This has been a Halfway Dark original, part of our series of Reddit horror stories, Nightshift confessions, and creepy urban legends told in the darkest voice possible. Don't forget, hit subscribe to stay ahead of the nightmares. Like this if the door unsettled you. Comment, what would you do if it followed you home? And keep watching, because the next story is even darker.